Welcome back, viewers, and thank you for staying with us. You are viewing GMT Good Morning Tobago, and I am your host, Natalie Sealy-Richardson. And before I introduce you to my next guest, I just want to share this information. And for those who it concerns, the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Retired Persons, Corals Zone, you are being reminded of your monthly meeting, which will be held tomorrow, Saturday, February 21st at the Signal Hill Community Center at 3 p.m. So for all of you who are members of that group, the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Retired Persons, Coral Zone, your meeting is tomorrow at 3 p.m. So if you know someone who is a member of that group, let them know that they need to be at Signal Hill Community Center tomorrow for their monthly meeting. And let's get right into our guest at this time, and that is Mr. Opuku Ware. Yes, and you know, he is going to be telling us about a cool down carnival event. People still cooling down, and we are glad that you are here with us this morning. So welcome. And before we get into the event, I must ask you about the name. It's not every day you come across a name, such a powerful name like that. So tell our viewers a little bit about the behind scenes of the name.
Well, if you want to get behind the scenes of why I have this name is because, you know, during the 1970s, there was this massive upheaval of consciousness throughout Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean. And Tobago was part of that movement, you know, and we had leaders here. In fact, the established leader in Tobago at that time was a former student of the Sir George Williams University from Scarborough here, Anthony Williams, Tony McFarlane. And Tony he was a nice guy, he was a brother. And after we, well, you know, when the government, led by Eric Williams, the PM government, cracked down on the demonstrators, and they arrested hundreds of people and jailed some of us.
Right.
After we were released in Tobago, we wanted to keep up the momentum.
Right.
So Jaja, he used to take me around and teach me because he was a graduate in history, so he used to tutor me, show me the way, tell me about the Tobago history and so on. And then when we were taking African names, he said, you know, you use Opuku Ware because Opuku Ware was a fella on the West Coast, in Ghana, who stood up against the British invaders. So he gave me that name.
And thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's quite interesting. But we are also here, you are also here to talk about the Ultimate After Carnival Experience 26. And this event is taking place in Buku. Tell us a bit more about this event and how long it has been in existence.
Well, the Ultimate After Carnival Experience in Tobago, we came up with that concept because we had formed the Tobago African Union. And part of our goal is to promote the indigenous culture of the island. So about 12, 14 years ago, we started doing this event at Buku, where we will integrate the best of Tobago, the carnival artistry, with the indigenous sport of goat racing, and sometimes we splice in a crab race also. But so it is geared towards giving the hundreds of visitors that come to Tobago after Trinidad Carnival. Because, you know, Tobago, we don't get that bulk of people here during the carnival days, in Trinidad. So after the carnival, when you want to come to Tobago, we decided to put on something to showcase the cultural talent of the island, and also to ensure that the visitors get a taste of what we have to offer. So like, for example, over the years, we have people like Super Blue had appeared on the event. Right. You know, some of the big names. We had Gypsy appearing, and what we do is highlight what we have in Tobago. Like, for example, this year we will be having the 1996 National Road March champion, who is a Tobagonian, Marvin Lewis.
Right.
He will be doing a whole repertoire of his songs. We will be projecting Walter Coppin. You know, he is more based in North America, so
Yes.
he's back here to do
Right.
his thing, and he has an understanding of how Carnival was in Tobago, because we have to embrace the concept or the truth that Tobago is part of Trinidad and Tobago. That is a fact. We are a nation.
Right.
So we must find ways of unifying the nations. Our culture is one way factor in the unification effort. So you have, for example, the East Indian cultures in Trinidad merging with the African culture and forming a dynamic expression.
Right.
Now, what we are proposing and projecting is that something like this after Carnival event, which starts at 2 p.m. at the Buko complex, we have the goat racing has developed in Tobago as an indigenous sport
Right.
from decades through the last century, and it is a phenomenon in that it captures the imagination of locals and visitors. So what we have done is to get the fastest goats in Tobago.
All right.
And to bring them to run about 6 races on the day. Then we're going to be having some of the finest Spanish in Tobago on show.
Right.
Because we all recognize that steel pan is a wonder of the world. That for any people to develop a pan as an instrument, an old oil drum,
Yes.
and take it and carve it into an instrument, that is a kind of ingenious and imaginative mind power to achieve such an objective.
Mr. Ware, let me ask you, right? So people, you mentioned, one of the target audience groups would be people who are coming to Tobago to cool down after the Trinidad revelry. And we know that when in Tobago, when you hear goat racing, it's usually Easter time. I want you to talk to the locals who are here, people who live here in Tobago, and say, well, we could catch up with that Easter time. Why should they be a part of this event on Sunday at the Buku Integrated Facility at 2 p.m.?
Now, one of our fundamental errors as a people is that we use we follow the European set patterns of cornering, of putting our culture into a little space in the year.
Right.
So Calypso and so, that is for Carnival.
Right.
Nonsense. You can't go in England and tell them not to play the Beatles song any time of the year, or go in India and tell them not to play the big Bollywood and hits on them, or go to America and tell them don't play country and western so and so time. So the culture must not be limited to any specific time, because we have to know that God is in every culture. The reason why we could have Pan, the reason why we could have Calypso, is because of the power of the God force that governs the universe. So it is important for us to use every opportunity to showcase and push our cultural forms so that it could be appreciated not only by visitors but by people here, because we first have to start to appreciate what we have.
Correct.
Because if we want to cook our food and don't eat it, who will eat it first?
Right.
So here we go again.
And is this a family-oriented event? Can parents say, let me bring the kids out?
Yes. We have, this is really a family thing, because the goat races are exciting. The kids go be amazed by the goats running down the track at full pace, full throttle. The people would enjoy the kind of songs we have. We don't have no songs that no racist songs, no dirty songs and that kind of thing.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I know oftentimes when we have events and it's advertised family friendly or bring the kids out, when you get there, sometimes parents are blocking the ears of their children covering eyes because it's not so child friendly.
No, those are irresponsible promoters. We believe in contributing to the efforts of the Tobago House of Assembly, of this fabulous administration. We believe in contributing to them to position Tobago in a beautiful place on planet Earth. And part of our thing is that if we are promoting culture, we must keep it clean. We don't have to be dirty and so with our culture to really gain attraction. Our culture is powerful enough so that it could generate appreciation. You don't have to go down to that level. Because when you go down to that level, what you're doing is destroying the mindset of the people. They're destroying their morals. And anytime you allow your people morals to be destroyed, you'll become as the story in the Bible talk about a place called Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right. And so we're talking about Sunday, 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
Goat racing. When we talk about races, it's a contest, it's a competition. So can those entering these races expect prizes?
Yes, well, we have to, and this is part of our only problems in promoting now. We have to go and raise funding to satisfy, to be able to pay prizes to the goat, because to bring up a race goat, the goat to race is very expensive. The men have to buy feed, they have to buy special medicine. You know, it's an expensive exercise, and they have to take their time to go to and train these goats and so on. So we have to appreciate their efforts, and as promoters, we have to go out and walk the streets, beat the ground to raise funding so that the winners could be awarded prizes, you know, cash prizes.
And I was privileged to see the flyer for the event, and I saw it's on the bottom of the flyer has walk with your cooler. So patrons who are coming, and of course I want you to share the admission cost for those who want to be a part of this after Carnival cool down experience. When you say walk with your coolers, what?
Well, I mean, people are free to, because we are not running an alcohol bar, right?
Okay.
So if people want to walk with the things so they could refresh themselves, it's up to them, you know?
Right.
So,
and of course, tell us about the entrance,
well,
the admission fee.
Entrance fee is a measly 100 TT and 15 US, you know what I mean? Because these are very expensive productions, you know?
Right.
The advertisement, the catering for, you know, we have a big sound system.
Right.
We have artists to pay, you know what I mean?
Yes.
We have workers and that kind of thing. So sometimes you do these things and you end up with nothing, you know?
Yes.
So we're hoping that probably we could do something, because we want to be able to do more events throughout the year.
Of course.
So if we could make a profit now, we could invest that in other promotions, because we do promotions for like emancipation, we do things for the Tobago Carnival in October and so on.
And so for those of you who are interested, that's Sunday. I'm reminding you of the date, Sunday the 22nd of February. That's this Sunday at the Opuku Integrated Facility at 2 p.m. $100 TT or 15 US. And of course, for children, it's half price. And you are allowed to walk with your coolers. And it's about promoting the culture, promoting what belongs to us. And I love how Mr. Ware would have said, you know, we box things into a day or a season. But if it's ours all throughout. So let's embrace it. Let's promote it. Expose our children to what comes from here, because people pay money to come to this part of the world to see the goat race, to experience it, and it's ours. We have it here, so why not? So something to do. And of course, you know, I know many of you are always looking for events you can take children to. It has been promoted as a family-friendly event, so you can definitely check it out. And as we wrap up, Mr. Ware, you are part of a group of promoters, and you mentioned the importance of culture. Why is putting on an event like this important to you and your partners?
Well, anytime you lose your cultural roots as a people, you will die, you know. For example, what makes, all you talk about United States, the big thing in United States in terms of the cultural expression is country and western, you know.
Yeah.
in India and so on, Bollywood and so is based on the production of the Indian music and so on.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing that starting to happen in West Africa and so on. Well, Europe had them thing done pat from long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we in the Caribbean here, particularly we, who have passed through that slave experience, who have lost everything. Because, I mean, when I took my African name, for example, my own people used to laugh at me.
Right.
You know, because
yes, it seemed quite
you
odd.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And senior men who were in politics at that time used to ridicule you.
Right.
You know, because of the backwardness, you know, because they don't appreciate who they really are. Mm-hmm. And if you know your history and you know that at one time your people ruled the world, your people gave the world literature, mathematics, architecture, and all the sciences in the world. Africans went all over the world and taught. The first university in Europe was built in Spain by Africans. In Salamanca in Spain, that's the first university Europe had. They came down here and established the Incas and Aztec empires. They went to China. If you see the early pictures of people in China. So that you come from a great people who had great civilizations. So it is important to promote the expressions that come out of that scenario. We developed the goat racing in Tobago, and we developed well, things like steel pan and calypso,
yes,
you know, have its roots from Africa and it expanded here. So we must promote those things. When we do those things, when we promote our culture, we make our people a stronger people, a more confident people. Mm-hmm. A people who have nothing often walks with their head bowed, you know.
Right.
So, but we're going to be proud people because, as you say, nothing lasts forever, and everything in dialectics, everything affects everything.
Right.
So that it's important to not only promote the culture, but to see our people come out and appreciate it.
Of course.
So that is why we're inviting everybody to come down. It's going to be a beautiful time down in Buku. That is all I can say. It would be wonderful. It would be, and as Donald Trump does say, it would be beautiful. You know?
Thank you so much for sharing with us. So viewers, I hope that you have been inspired. You know, it's about what belongs to us. You have somewhere to be on Sunday, the 22nd, at the Buku Integrated Facility at 2 p.m. So you can gather your family together, friends, and just go and chill. It's an after Carnival cool-down experience waiting for you. You get to experience crab racing, goat racing, some kaiso, steel pan. And as Mr. Ware said, you know, we usually box these cultural experiences into seasons, but it belongs to us, and we have all year, every day, you know, to experience it and to showcase it. So that's all the time we have, viewers, this morning as we end GMT Good Morning Tobago. It's always a pleasure to spend my Friday morning with you. And let me remind you that the weekend has begun, and yes, you are your brother's keeper. Let's look out for each other as we, you know, enjoy some downtime for this weekend. And I encourage all of us to remain safe, and hopefully we'll see each other again next time.